Hi there. If you have watched some of my previous videos, you know how passionate I can get about whatever topic it is that I'm talking about. But nothing stirs the flame inside of me and inspires me more than talking about how the mindset of possibility seeking is much more effective than identifying a problem to find a solution. Many marketers use this approach of identifying pain points to get to customers, or how frequently people look at problems when trying to find a solution. That's what a majority of our population is invested in believing. Why? Hate to break it to you, it's because it's a quick sell, but it doesn't fully address the long game, and it's not always a long standing win. Just talking about this fires me up. I feel like it's important for me to express how passionate I am about it and how a specific mindset like seeking possibilities has helped me thrive in my work despite those who default to focusing on problems. Whoops. Okay, I got all caught up and I forgot to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Heather Leavitt Martinez. I'm the director at Tech Host Academy, and I help professionals make online sessions more engaging, efficient, and equitable. I want to talk today about the mindset we take at Tech Host Academy, seeking possibilities in a problem-centric world. I've become a successful tech host not from how long that I've been doing it, but by discovering the most effective and efficient ways to become successful at it. And between the three pillars of tech hosting, approach design is where I have the highest aptitude. What is approach design? When applied to meetings, it's the methodology or approach to designing an agenda to meet the purpose and the objectives, or in appreciative inquiry terms, to meet the desired outcomes. Now, that's a lot of facilitation jargon, so let me break this down for you. While we at Tech Host Academy are focused mainly on online sessions, this approach can also apply to in-person sessions. If you have an upcoming excuse me, if you have an upcoming meeting, for that meeting, you will need to determine and define the purpose, discover who the participants are and the needs of the presenters, learn from the client the desired outcome for the meeting, and make agreements on how you will get there. And the majority of your agenda will be based on the activities you design. We dive deep into that at Tech Host Academy. And then finally, the meeting comes and you deliver. Okay, so that's the quick and dirty application of how appreciative inquiry can be used to design a meeting. Here's how the 5D appreciative inquiry framework applies to the curriculum at Tech Host Academy. We start with the define phase. In the free training we offer prior to registering at Tech Host Academy, we clarify what tech hosting is so you can determine if it's a good fit for you. In the discover phase, you learn all of the tech hosting vitals, how a discovery meeting will help you get to know your client, and what type of presence you need to ensure trust with them. In the dream phase, you learn all about the client, the presenter's goals and aspirations, and how your presence can support the desired outcomes. The design phase is personally my favorite. Here is where you bring your skills and strength to co-construct a meeting design. And finally, the deliver phase. You use all that you have learned to put into place to innovate on the fly in the live session and follow up with the client in ways that determines the future of and your relationship with them. And that's just one more application of appreciative inquiry. Let's dive into the why in terms of approach design and why it's so important. While I've worked mostly with engineers, analysts, and facilitators, I have found many others along the way who also love to look at problems. Unfortunately, from my experience, solving a problem by focusing on problems can give a false positive for success. Sure, you can look at a small problem, complete some small tasks associated with it, but it's not a long lasting, scalable approach. Let me explain why. When you are faced with a bigger problem, you must then break it down into a bunch of smaller problems. Then you end up with a mountain of problems. That can take a lot of time to wade through, not to mention that it's easy to lose sight of what you want when distracted by a bunch of other problems. Then, over time, those working on the problem may leave and new people come to help with the problem, and then they bring their own problems, and then you have a then you have to work with and deal with their problems. It's an overwhelming mess. How can that be turned around? I love this quote by David Cooper Writer. We live in the world our questions create. Remember that overwhelming mess of problems? Well, it started out with the question, what's the problem? David Cooper Writer, along with Suresh Srivastava, are the founders of the theory Appreciative Inquiry, also known as AI. It is the theory, methodology, and process for organizational and social change. So while we can apply AI to a simple meeting design, it has far further reaching applications. Now, you might be asking, so if we aren't focusing on the problems, what do we focus on? Well, the answer seems pretty simple to me, but if you don't already practice this mindset of seeking possibilities, it might hurt your brain for just a second to focus on what you do want. Again, remember that mountain of problems? Imagine the abundance we can have if we focused on what we do want. Now, to some, that might sound a little bit lofty, but here's the reality. We need to discover the root causes of success rather than the root causes of failure. Imagine for a moment what we would discover if we reflected on what worked in the past. By standing on the shoulders of the masters and giants who came before us, we can go further faster. Imagine reflecting on the strengths and skills of those working on a project, what worked in the past, and where the energy lives to move forward on a project. We have greater possibilities to work with and discover. Great realizations come from practicing this mindset, including repeatable, scalable actions that can help the team succeed faster and greater than from focusing on just problems. Why? Because you can't scale from a deficit. And as for focusing on what didn't work, well, you're not going to keep your hand on the burner of a hot stove for very long. That would be foolish. Why would you muck around in a swamp full of problems? Have you been in a swamp? They're nasty and they're not even easy to get out of or recover from. Okay, so this is getting a little too graphic. Do you get what I mean? Let's do a quick visioning exercise. So, what I'd like to invite you to do is imagine a future where you're thriving. You can pick any point in time. It can be in your golden years or say 10 to 20 years from now. But what if you were to make it shorter, like in 3 years or even 6 months from now? Now, you may close your eyes or rest them in a place in front of you, and I'd like you to imagine, what would your life be like if you were thriving? Where are you? What are you doing? Note some details like what you're wearing, what the light is like, or the weather conditions are like, and who are you with? Remember, you're thriving. What kinds of hobbies or activities do you enjoy at that time? And note anything else of importance. Now, depending on how much you dreamed up, how much time you have to accomplish it all, you might have to scale your steps to get there. For now, let's just take one small step towards your vision. What will you do after this video is over that your future self will thank you for? It's just that simple. Sure, you can map out all the big tasks, but remember to continue making small, baby set steps towards your target. This is what we do as babies. From the time we first started moving around on our own, however that looked, we haven't stopped. For the most part, moving forward to where we are now. Sure, we may have had a few setbacks, maybe a lot of them, but reflecting back, ask yourself these 3 questions. What kept you moving forward, even if you weren't feeling it? When you were feeling it, what contributed to that positive momentum? And what did you learn about yourself? And what do you value about having had that experience? See, even from a setback, we can look forward, moving forward and making progress, all by the questions we ask. These 3 questions that I just formulated, over here, to elicit, these are made to elicit unconditionally positive answers. They're AI questions. So, what does all of this have to do with tech hosting? Well, if the presenter or participant is focused on a tech glitch in an online meeting and there's no tech host, that person has the potential to stall the session and to take everyone down with them. But as a tech host serving the process and the group, if you are focused on the purpose and the desired outcomes for the session, everyone has a better chance of getting there more efficiently. And one small glitch can be discreetly resolved by a tech host without disruption and the whole group knowing. So I could go on and on. I have lots of different examples, but I want to respect your time and would love to talk about this again in the future. I've given you a lot to think about, from how we use appreciative inquiry to how to help using it to design a meeting, imagining your future, and reflecting on our past. While mindset shifts can take time, please consider the small steps you can take today to consciously integrate a possibility seeking mindset into your life and work. Feel free to watch this recording of this live stream again, review the post, and put your questions in the chat. Or hop on over to techhostacademy.com to learn more. We have several appreciative inquiry tools and resources to help you with your next meeting, whether it's online, in person, at a new discovery meeting with a client, designing a session, or maintaining the client relationship. I look forward to continuing the conversation with you. See you soon.